Hi, this is Nancy McClelland, and these instructions are for the Lumberjack Christmas 12 tag set that you picked up at Scrapmania. So what you're going to get is this is a detailed sheet that shows you all of the tags that we're going to make in the class, okay? You're going to get the ephemera pack that you're going to use to put together the cards. And then you're going to get all these envelopes that are numbered, basically 1 through 12 in your packet. So everything for every tag is in there. So I'll give you an example of what you're going to do is you'll open this up. This is tag number 1. And inside tag number 1 will be all the pieces that you need, except the ephemera. You'll need to pull the ephemera out. So you have like 2 of these craft tab tops. You have a backer sheet, you have a piece for a sentiment, you have your tag and another backer that I'll show you in your twine. So every one of your envelopes is set up that way. There may be some nail heads or smaller items in there, so when you open these up, please be cautious. And so what you will need to do, and I would maybe suggest you do this depending on your time frame, you will go into the ephemera pack and you might want to put the piece of ephemera into the envelope that goes with it. It's quite apparent when you look at the instructions, because here I have actually more instructions which are detailed, which you can follow along with in this video. But you have 33 pieces of ephemera here, and we are making 12 tags, and I believe that makes 15 pieces because one of our tags at the end has 3 of those. But so you're not even using hardly half of the ephemera pack. So you still have all the ephemera pack left for you to do with what you want. So we're going to get started, and this is the first one that we're going to make here. And again, I kind of showed you what that was, but we have the little flip top ticket type of tag. Then you're going to back it with the decorative piece. You have the piece that if you want to put a 2 in there, this is an example. I didn't do that, just so you could do that if you wanted to. And then this is the ephemera piece, and then that's your red on the top. So I have all of those pieces that were in my envelope right here, and I have my twine, and it's ready to go. Now what I did do on these, and I'll do the first one here for you, but I'm not going to go and do them all. And this is again something you can choose to do. I think it adds a little bit to these tags, you know, hence the lumberjack, but you could use black soot. You could use a distress ink, like I've got walnut stain or vintage photo. You can use any brown ink. What I do is I just use a little finger dauber. I think that these work best, and this is walnut stain. And all I'm doing, and I think you can see, I'm just adding a little bit of brown to the edges. I think this really enhances the tags. Again, you may not like this distressed look, but I think that really helps this out a lot. You'll see it more on the white pieces, but to me I think it really adds a lot to the card. But for time's sake, again, I am not going to do every one of the ones as I put these cards together for you. I think that this video is more of just an instruction, and you may not like this. You may say, I do not want to do that on my pieces. I don't like that distressed look. Well, that's perfectly fine. Maybe there's a couple of them that you do like to have that distressed look on. So pick the ones that you think, you know, could use the distressed look on there. Now this piece is going to be on the inside. There really isn't a lot of reason. You could go to the back of it because the Merry Christmas is actually going to show on the back of it. So you might want to do that. And then we could come and do this. And you might even want to do this when you get the cards together, because this is a little thinner and kind of delicate to play with. So that would be totally up to you. So I've just quickly done that. And this is perforated. It's got just a score line there. So we're going to go ahead and score that back open. And I'm just going to kind of run a little bit of my dauber down the sides. Let me have it a little close to the camera there for you. Okay, so that's what I've got. The only other things that you're really going to need is your favorite type of adhesive. I also use a liquid adhesive and I use a tape runner. Foam tape again is optional on here. That's always an optional type of thing for me. You could use, you know, some again on some of the cards and, you know, not putting on the others. So because this is thin, I'm actually going to choose to use a liquid glue. Again, my choice of liquid glue is Gina K's Connect Glue. That's my favorite. There are lots of other glues that are out there. I am just matching this up on the back side because this is the back of the card. Then I'm going to, or the tag, and I'm going to bring it down. And that's what you see on the inside. Pretty easy. Okay. So the next thing we can do is we can adhere this piece of paper that I gave you, and again I've given you some instructions, and the order that you choose to do it is totally up to you. And I'm just going to put that inside here. You can write your message, okay, and that can be omitted. You could do whatever you wanted to do in there. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ephemera piece right here, and I'm going to attach the ephemera piece to the red cardstock backer. Now this is where I used a little bit of foam tape on this sample that I did. Some thin foam tape. I don't know if you can, it's kind of hard to see, but it's got a little bit of dimension. So I'm going to put a tiny piece on this one. I guess that's maybe not as tiny. And then we're going to basically put that in the center of the card like that. Okay. Then we have these two tabs right here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose a liquid only because I think I'll get a little better, I'll be able to put them together a little better. And they're just going to be sandwiched together on the card. So I'm going to put that, it's going to go up here, and I put it so that my tabs are just a little bit above the line. Then I'm going to turn it over. And put that tab on there. Okay, now all there is left to do is punch a hole and put your twine in there. Again, so you could use the twine that's included or choose a different twine. So there we go with that. And I'm not going to bore you with punching a hole and putting twine in there at this point, okay? So that's tag number 1 done, okay? Tag number 2 is this next one on your list, okay? So on tag number 2, I'm going to reach back and get my packet that has my tags. And I probably will need to get my hole puncher on this one, which I did not get, but I can run and get that right fast while we're working through this. You're going to have this backer piece and then the decorative die cut. You're going to have a circle that has a plaid on it, and then this is the little lantern is the piece that you're going to use for your ephemera, and then you're going to have a piece of ribbon here. Okay, so once again, simplistic. These are so easy. Again, they will be, I would definitely take these and at least do this piece of ephemera, only because it's kind of a wood look, and I can get rid of, the reason why I ink the edges is I can get rid of that little white line from where the die cut and the ephemera has been pulled out. So again, I would take that piece, and I think this piece looks really nice too, just to kind of, you know, get rid of some of those edges, and I think it'll make it look nice. So we'll do that, okay? Okay, super simple to put together once again. This one, again, I think it's important to use some liquid adhesive. You could run this through a Xyron machine if you have a Xyron machine. I'm going to take this and I'm actually just going to pull a couple of dots for time's sake. A lot of times dot runner, if you want to put a dot runner on there, it'll stick to only those pieces. This is a Tim Holtz set. But I've put that together, I've put it down here. Now we're going to, because the actual card is a little taller than what the tag is taller than what the die cut is. I wanted that so I could extend this particular topper up. So I've got that put on there. Now I have taken my tag and I put my top tag part up here, the circle on at an angle. So I would take and put this and I would fold it in half for the angle. And then it's going to just sit up there. So you're just going to mount it up there at the top. Okay? So this I will, I'll use I use the glue glider, the Scotch, and it's got actually wonderful tape on it. So I'm going to just use that. And again, I'm going to place this and make sure that it's in the center of my card. I need to scoot it over just a little bit and bring it down on the fold, and there it is. Okay. Now, for extra security, you could definitely put more adhesive on there, and adhesive would also give you some time to move that around if you needed to. I, once again, used a piece of foam tape on my ephemera because I thought it would be cute just to pop that little lantern up. And I am going to get my hole punch, which I forgot to get, my crocodile. I like the crocodile because I think the crocodiles are really, it just works so much better for me. And the crocodile has two different holes on it. So I'm going to pick the largest hole, and I'm eyeballing, but you can do what you want to do. I eyeballed and put that in there. Now what I suggest is that for this tag topper here, this one I will go through. I have a piece of ribbon that's probably not the, it's got a seam in it here. But what we're going to do is I'm going to cut it, and this piece, again, I'm going to push it through from, I usually push through from the back side. And all I want to do is have this tag, I want this to lay like that. So I've just pulled it through. But then I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to tie a knot around this. So I'm going to go just kind of a square knot, and I'm securing this actual tag topper in there. And one turn would work probably fine. This ribbon's pretty stiff, but you can see that I've just tied that tag up there. And then what you would want to do is trim off your excess. And I suggested that you probably cut your ribbon into half. You've got enough to do that. And there that tag is. So that, again, easy peasy. That's 2 tags down, okay? Now the next one that we're going to do, it's going to be tag number 3. Tag number 3 is this one right here, okay? And in tag number 3, you're going to have a piece of twine, a pretty nice piece of twine, because what I did was I doubled the twine because I think you kind of need that. And again, you don't have to use the twine that I've given you if you don't want to. So you have a decorative piece, you have a backer piece, you have another kind of tag topper piece then you have your ephemera, okay? So again, this one is very simple to do. You could choose if you wanted to do this a little differently. I just basically adhered the two together, so I have a plain side to write on. You could score this if you wanted to, so lift it up if you wanted. It's the only reason why I didn't do that is because I used a paper that had the like another design on the back, so I really didn't want to see that when I flipped my tag up. But I just adhere this, and I am not going to ink this, but this one has definitely got, this particular one definitely has inked edges on it, and you could definitely ink it when you get back together, but all I'm doing is matching this up so that you've got the holes and everything there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach this little copper strip, this gold strip on here, and trim it down. I prefer to give you a little more than just a small amount, and then you can actually just trim this off as you go. So I'm just using my liquid adhesive, and I'm putting it on the topper piece here. I'm matching up the one end, making sure that it's straight. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take some scissors and I'm going to trim it off. So if you do things better by measuring them out before you get started, that's perfectly fine. What I'm going to do now too is I'm just going to use some liquid adhesive to put this together because I think it's easier than my tape runner, and all that does is sits right on top of that. So that's a cute little tag there. I didn't do anything but adhere the ephemera piece directly to it. So the ephemera piece, which is this cute little ornament, it's right there, super simple. And there you can write on the back of that. Then you do have, this is again my twine, and you've got a long piece of twine here, and I did the same basic type of thing on here that I did on the other one, and I would probably choose to the twine, you could cut the twine in half, and then I brought it through, so I have it this way. Then I've gone to the middle, so I have two strands together, and I'm going to poke these two strands. I must always go from back to front because I like the look that I get. So I've got a loop here, I'm bringing this up here, okay? Then I'm going to take this double twine, again this is a double twine, we can trim the edges. And the easiest thing was I was just going to tie a bow here, and that you really didn't need to secure the this twine, but I wanted it to be a little more decorative at that point. And then you can trim out all the edges. You can tie a knot at the top up here to put it on a hang, or you could just leave it until you tie it onto a present. So there's that. I would trim these little tags off, and then again you could leave this until you tie that onto your present. So there's that one done. Next one is going to be this moose tag, and it's a pretty good sized tag. Okay, this is the fourth one, and this is one of the new photo play sets. So we have the craft backer, then we have the green tag. Okay, we'll need to find our moose ephemera piece. We have some black twine. We have from Our Home to Yours, which again you can choose to put that on there should you decide that's what you want to do. We have a piece of gray cardstock, and then you're going to have 2 little nail heads. So that's why I said some of these things, it's kind of nice to be a little careful when you take them out. So the first thing I would do, and this one I do believe needs to be, I think we need to put some, a little bit of a distress edging on it, because I think this with the craft in general. So I'm just going around my little ephemera piece. I'm going to take a little bit, because this is going to go side to side, and we can finish off the edges after we mount this. So there's that piece. I'm going to put it on from our home to yours, and again, you could choose to leave this off of your card because you may have a different sentiment and you may not want that. I'm going to go around the edge of my green part of my tag. Okay. And then we're going to go around the craft one. And again, I've given you pieces, I've given you twine. You can choose to alter this and not use some of these pieces if that's the way you would prefer to go. So the first thing I did was, because I look at all the pieces that I have, and I'm going to take this gray piece and I'm going to mount it. It's about on the upper third, but I look to see kind of how this is going to lay here and then how this is going to go here. So that kind of helps you determine maybe how far up you need to put this particular piece of gray. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some tape runner on there, and this is where I said I can take this and I can put it here, and making sure this is what I really want. I kind of lay this out. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to put that on there. I'm going to take it and I'm going to cut the excess off. Okay. Now I can come back and just ink these edges after I've kind of cleaned that up and decided where that's going to go. So that's the first piece. Now on my particular one, I think it needed a little bit of definition. So I have my little mousse ephemera. My mousse ephemera has been popped up. So I'm putting him in here just in the center, and he's popped up. And then I did a little bit of a pop up with some foam tape on my sentiment. Okay, so not much, but I did a little bit of the popped up, so there's some dimension. You can see it or not through there. Okay. I'm just placing it down there in the corner. Okay. Now this could be a tag that you could choose to leave this free hanging if you'd like. You could let it move a little bit where you wrote a message on the inside of it, or you could choose to place the tag down, you know, adhere it down. I chose to adhere it down. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I did choose to adhere it down. And I'm matching kind of the tops and the sides of this. And then because this has got a notched hole, I don't have a notched hole punch. If you have a notched hole punch, or you have something that you think would be good for a notched hole, then you could do that. But I'm just coming in and putting a hole there with my crocodile again, and I'm just taking my twine, I'm doubling it, and I'm putting a bow very much like what we did on the last one. So again, we don't need to spend time tying bows, but that's how that one worked. Oh, I forgot right here. These are my 2 nail heads. And again, the nail heads have adhesive on them. They do have adhesive, and I've cut them for you so they'll be single, but you should just be able to pick them up. I use scissors, I use a knife. I don't find that sometimes the little jewel picks or things like that work as well, or my crystal katina, because they actually have got adhesive on them. But then I just put those little nail heads there. So, easy. Okay, so that's 4 tags done. Okay, So now the next one that we have is tag number 5, which is this round circle tag. And the pieces parts on that are going to be, you're going to have a printed circle that's white with like a little burlap texture. You're going to have a craft backer. You're going to have the Merry Christmas ephemera piece, and then a red backer for that, and then you're going to have this little tag topper on there, and you're going to have some gold string there. So again, this one I think really needs a little bit of life on it, with the a little bit of some distress ink. I just think it looks nicer that way. You may choose to, I mean, you could maybe even do something like into a red if you wanted to, but I think it gives it some life, and you just don't lose all the pieces, and it really does keep the dimension. Let me pull this up here so you're seeing it in the camera. So I'm just going around the red piece, and I'm going to go around this one. You could wait until you adhere these guys together. I don't necessarily believe that's as important for you to have the distressing on the back side of this as it is on the front side. I'm going to actually use some liquid adhesive so that I can get this put on there and I can match them a little better. So I'm just using my liquid adhesive because this is going to be mounted. I just like, these are 2 stitched circles, and I use the Gina K stitch dies, but I wanted them to look really finished on the back side. So what we're doing is putting wrong sides together. Your stitching looks better on one side than it does on the other side, and it may not show up on the camera, but you can definitely see it when you put it together. So I'm putting the 2 wrong sides together so they look really nice on the outside. And you can see by doing that a little bit of edging. If again you don't maybe get everything exactly lined up, you really don't see that there's anything. And you can go back and make it a little darker. So that's put together. This is just layering at this point now. So at this, you can just take this and you can layer this. Actually, some of the cardstock has a little bit of texture and some of it doesn't, and I actually inked up, or I should say I put the adhesive on the wrong one, but that's easy to fix. So I'm just centering that there. I'm going to take the Merry Christmas. This has no dimension. Again, you can use pop dots or foam adhesive if you'd like to at any point. This is going to go in here into the circle like that. It's put together. Last thing you have to do is we're going to put this, and I try to get it up as close as I can. You may see the little bit of the tag through there, but we're going to put it up there, and I'm going to actually put adhesive, and you don't want to squeeze all out, but I'm putting adhesive on my little topper, and then I'm going to put it on the front so that I can try to get it as close to the front upper top there, and then I'm going to fold it down and make sure it's in the center, and I'm going to hold it. And again, you could put this, put something like a stamp block or something on top of this if you wanted to. And then the last thing we're going to do is you'll have your gold ribbon. And what I did is I cut my ribbon, or my gold, it's about, you probably will cut it, and there's 2 things. You could make a bow, and I do this a lot because I can make a bow by hand, and this is kind of a wired ribbon, so it's easy to mold. So it'd be super simple to make a little bow like that. But you could take your bow, make your bow, cut your bow off, then the rest of this is just used as a tag holder. So And then you could glue this on with a little adhesive just to bling that up a little bit. And again, you could put anything you wanted on there if you wanted some gems, if you wanted to add. Okay, so I'm back. I'm not exactly sure where my video cut off, but this was the tag, and I'll go back and see. Tag number 6. Okay, this is tag number 6. It's black, and it has a blue backer piece in there. So I'll get mine. Okay, so I have a black and a blue. Your ephemera piece is Let It Snow. You're going to have some ribbon, and you're going to have some twine. Okay, so this one again is so simple. Again, this one might not be anything that you'd want to use your distress edges and inking on the edges, but this one is pretty simple just to layer these together. I'm going to put them up there. If I try to match it the best I can. The Let It Snow. Put that there. Just basically putting pieces of a puzzle together here. Then I'm going to put this down at the bottom. You could take a piece of paper here, and you want to write 2 there. If you want to put some white there, again, you can choose a hole punch. I'm just going to punch that hole right there. If you can see that, there's a hole right there. And I will use the blue, and you can double this just to pull it through again and make a loop. Because again, I do back to front because I think it's easier. I get my loops, I can come back through, then you have all this that you can tie. And then again, I did the bow, but I just made a white bow and then attached it with some adhesive there. So very simple to do that one. So now that's through the first 6. Now we have tag number 7. This is tag number 7 with the little lumberjack man. He's so cute. And your pieces, you have this tag piece. You have this is the ephemera piece. You're going to have a thicker piece of red, and then you're going to have a thinner piece of red. You will have some black twine. You will have some check ribbon. And I think that's it. So again, this guy I think needs to have a little bit of, I like to ink up the edges on the red. So if it's nothing than just kind of rubbing your ink on some of these edges here. I'm going to go around my little lumberjack ephemera because I think it helps to, just as I said, some of those white edges on this darker ephemera, I think it's nice just to clean those up a little bit, and you can kind of go over those little holes if you'd like. And then this is your tag, and again, I'm just kind of darkening the edges of the tag. And so there. Now, this is one that I left my little lumberjack, I left him free hanging. So he kind of swings, okay? And so I would put him and look at him there. And what I want to do is I want to take and I want to emphasize these little red dots. I want, you know, I want my red to show through. So I actually have this, I mean, we're not talking maybe an 1/8 to a 1/16 of an inch, but maybe an 1/8 inch. You can take it, there's a little stitch line on this. You can see that stitch line. So I have it about maybe an 1/8 of an inch up. So I'm going to put some adhesive on this. And I'm going to just attach it. And you should have pretty much, it should fit. I think I've cut the size, but if you have to trim it a little bit, but there's that one. And then I have this other tiny piece that I just, you know, put a little bit higher aesthetically. I'm going to use some liquid adhesive because it's going to be easier than using my tape runner for that. And it's going to go just above it. And this piece is a little longer. I tend to use up a lot of my scrap, so that's why. So there's that. This guy, all you basically are going to do is match up the holes. And this is the ribbon. This is Gina K's ribbon, which I love, her check ribbon. But I'm going to run it through these holes. And I may have a little bit less here than what you guys got in your package. But all I'm doing is running it through. We did this kind of on that first couple cards. There's the tie. And then we're just going to take our black twine and we're going to tie a bow around it to secure that there. So pretty simple. That's an easy way to add some, you know, if you have problems, this is a nice way to add like a little hang tag, and then you can just tie the ribbon. So that's an easy way to do that. So that one's done. So now we have tag number 8. Tag number 8 is going to be relatively simple. It is a red little print. You have a different red. You have like a snowflake red. And I ran out of that before I was making my examples. So I have just a plaid. And then I think you may have there's a solid, or maybe this is a dot paper there. So I was running out of some of the things after all the kits. This is the ephemera. It's a real simple little Christmas tree. And in your packet, this one is a pretty easy one to lose. That's a copper nail head. And then you've got your ribbon, okay? So all we're going to do is we're going to sandwich these two tags together, okay? So I'm taking the sandwich part of this, or taking this one, which is my print. I'm attaching it to, you have a red card base, or tag base, I should say. I'm so used to making cards. And I'm just going to adhere these two together. It makes a sturdier card, and it finishes off the back side. And again, if you wanted to on this particular one, you could go around it with your inking tool again. Then I did take some foam tape, because this is a relatively simple little card. And I will, again, I think I would like to get rid of the kind of the white edge that you get on the paper. I think it helps. And then my ephemera piece, because it's pretty white, and this particular, since I have the plaid, but the other even snowflake that I gave you, I think it's a little more wintry. I think it's, again, got that more rustic look to it. So I think it's important to probably ink up those edges. So I have a piece of foam tape. So I'm going to take a couple of them, put them on the back. And again, I'm pretty generous with my foam tape. But it's going to go into the center of this. like that. I'm going to directly glue down or adhere down my Christmas tree in the center of that oval there. I am going to take my nail head, which again has adhesive on it. If you want to put more, you can, but I peeled it right off of the backer sheet, and it's a topper for the Christmas tree. And then we are going to punch a hole, and I'm probably going to actually punch 2 holes that are kind of side by side, only because my ribbon, and again, nobody's probably going to see any of that. My ribbon is pretty thick on this card, okay? And you're just going to take it and do exactly what we've done in the past, and you may need to take this ribbon and kind of fold it to get it through here. But then you can open it up, and you may just have to fiddle with this a little bit and then just pull it up and make your loop. So just kind of fiddling with it through the hole. Okay, so there you go. That one's done. That's tag number 8. Okay, now what we have is tag number 9, and tag number 9, so simple, and I think we sometimes forget to do some of these things, but this is tag number 9. It's a big tag, okay? So you can see, well, I have small hands, but it's a big tag. And I have this little red strip, which is going to be your hanger. The most wonderful time of the year is the ephemera that I picked. And there's another ephemera piece that's kind of large like that too, that you might be able to use if you didn't like the one that I had. And then also in your envelope is, get it out of mine, there's a black just cardstock circle, okay? So the first thing this one's so simple. The first thing I did, it's pretty much a flat tag, is I took my adhesive, my tape runner, and I put my tag down. Okay. This can be as long or as short as you want it to be, okay? You can see that it's just folded over. So you can take this and determine how long you want it to be. It's a loop, because what you're going to do is you're going to just put your twine through that loop. And if you think you'd have a hard time keeping it but it's folded, just take your twine. So we have our twine. You got a long piece of twine, and just fold it in half, okay? I'm gonna lay it here. What I can do is I can determine how long I want my hanger to be. So I can take this and I can fold it. I think I'm gonna fold it relatively in half. And I'm probably just gonna cut it off so that it's even, okay? And then what I'm going to do is put a little bit of adhesive on the front and a little bit on the back, just on the tabs, okay? We're not going to put it in there. And so that you don't have to feed your twine through that, just lay your twine in there when you fold this, and this will just go down over that hole. And we created our own little hang tag then. Okay, so you'll just put that and hold that together. Then you just have a little decorative piece. If you had a button, if you had some larger gems or something like this, could be really cute probably with a button if you wanted to put a button there. But this is just a little black circle, and it's there. Now the finishing touch would be, I chose, you could use a Sharpie, a Micron, a Copic. I actually have a jelly roll, which is got a little bit of a glaze to it. So what I do is I start it at some point that, and again, this turns, so I can't contort my hand. But what I'm going to do, and I'm going to test this and make sure that it's working, and I'm going to do that little fine stitch all the way around. And this is the thing, that it doesn't have to be perfect by any means. It's just a little stitch, and you have a stitch tag, so you're just going to go all the way around the ephemera tag. Okay, so again, to save time, you don't want to sit and watch me go all the way around that tag, but that's all you're doing. Okay, so pick to choose the pen of your choice. You could do it in red. I don't think white would be as good, but I really think the black helped make this tag, makes it work really nice. So simple little tag. Just think about that if you had ephemera and how you can make that work. Now, number 10 is probably, it's not really that complex at all. It's a heavy card or a tag, but you've got several pieces. You have a black backer, you have a gray piece, you have a white, you have a plaid, and your plaid and my plaid may be a little different because of timing and for me, like not having all the supplies I needed to finish this. You're going to have, this is the Christmas ephemera piece that you're going to have, and you also are going to have another piece of like a wood look piece of paper there. You're going to have a cardstock stamped Mary that's cut out, and then you're going to have a piece of foam, because this has got some dimension. I popped this, I popped that up, so I like that dimension there. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my liquid adhesive, so this can kind of sit and dry, and I'm just putting my liquid adhesive on the back of the word Mary. I think when you put it on foam, it works better than trying to use maybe another type of adhesive. And you also get, when you're using the liquid, you get a little of a play, and I just kind of use my fingers to line everything up. This is just the basic fun foam that you get in the kids department. I have it in black and white, and I use it all the time. You could use stacked pieces. You could cut this die again in cardstock, and I know that's what a lot of people do, but this was just a fast and easy way just to cut it, and it cuts with my die cuts. So I'm going to let that dry. So the first thing that we're going to do by your instructions that I have there is we're going to take the gray piece, okay? The gray piece is going to have adhesive, and we're going to put it on the black piece. So you should have a pretty even, maybe 1/8 of an inch edge. We're going to take the plaid and we're going to adhere it to the white piece. Okay. Then you can take these two pieces and adhere them to each other. Okay. Like that. Okay, I would probably take, I haven't inked anything else, but I would ink up my ephemera piece with my dauber. I would distress the edge just to get rid of that little white edge, because that's going to go here. And then you can finish this off. This is we're going to put a little flag end on this one, but these are your two pieces that you're going to put on there. So I'm going to put there, and I have nothing but the only dimension will be the Mary on that. Okay, so the Christmas piece of ephemera is going to go right down here at the bottom. I'm going to use liquid adhesive on the back of my foam piece here that I've created with the Mary die. This is a relatively new one from from the Taylor Expression. Excuse my phone ringing there. Okay. So that's on there like that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create a flag. You can see that this is like a little flag here, and it just goes to the back side, and I'm only going to flag one end of it. So again, you can determine how long you want your flag to be. So I'm just going to fold it in half, okay? And I'm going to lay it in here like this and determine, you know, where I want to cut my flag. And it could go a little bit more on the back, or I can cut that off on the back, okay? So I believe that I don't want my flag quite that long. And in order to create the flag, I cut up the center. Then I cut from the corner into where I made that cut, and I cut from this corner into where I made that cut, and there's your flag. And then I'm actually going to just kind of cut that off a little bit in the back. It's not going to be exactly the same. Now what I can do is, since I've cut that and determined, and I like to start with a little bit larger piece of paper like that, and okay. And this one, we're going to punch a hole in this, so it's not going to be important for you to, you know, unless you really want to make this one of those loop ones that you come out the side. I'm not going to make that a loop. I'm going to fasten it, so I'm just going to put the adhesive here. And I typically will put this on the front of my card first. And this piece is a little wider than the one I had in my original tag, but you can do what you want and cut it down. Then I'm going to just fold it to the back side. Okay? Then what you will do is, again, punch a hole and tie your twine. You have red twine, red and white twine. And again, if you don't like the red and white twine, you can choose a different twine. Okay? So we have 10 tags. We have 2 to go. Last 2 we have are 11 and 12. So on 11, this is where I chose to use the 3 different pieces of ephemera. So you're going to have a white, this is a photo play, kind of almost like a slimline type of card front, but I turned it into a tag. So you've got that, and then we're just going to make it a green backer. And what I chose was the Dear Santa, and I chose the little truck, and I chose the Merry Christmas. Those are the ones I chose to put into the holes. You have just a piece of basic twine. Then you're going to have several circles. You're going to have a black circle. You're going to have a circle that's got just a little bit of a print on it. I've given you a craft circle and a red circle. So it's a little different than the example, but you can take a piece out if you don't want that piece, or you can create your own. So first thing I'm going to do, this one has no dimension to it. It's all just glued down. So I've turned this white piece up on the back side, and I am just putting some liquid adhesive on that so that I can put it on my piece of green backer for the tag. Okay. Okay. Again, you may not want to use these. You may want to create your own, but all I'm going to do is take the ephemeras, and I'm going to put the Dear Santa here. I'm going to put the truck in the middle. Again, ink or not, it's totally up to you. You may want to take one of them and, you know, maybe pop one of them up. And then Merry Christmas. We'll put that one at the end. And it's the tightest in that little area there, but I think it'll work fine. Okay, so then what we're going to do is we're just going to build this little topper piece. So I'm going to take the craft piece here and I'm going to put it on top of the little print. I'm going to take the red piece and put it on top of the craft. And I've just created like a little hanger. And I am going to go around this because this pattern paper has the white core, and just put a little bit of a edge on there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I am going to attach it to the front of my card at the top. The black circle, I'm going to put adhesive on that, and it's going to go on the back as the sandwich, and it just finishes that off and makes it look really nice. So then you're just going to press those two together. And I laid it down there and it kind of moved a little bit, so I'm just going to push it back together again. That's what I love about liquid adhesive. Going to punch a hole in there, and then you're going to tie your twine. So I'm just going to take this, and you could let it dry a little bit longer and come back and do all these things at the end. But I'm just going to punch a hole in the top of there, and then you've got your twine. So, pretty simple. We're down to the last one. It's so easy. This is the last one. It's a little dressier. Okay? This is number 12. And tag number 12, put all my other little pieces back away here. You're going to have, this is your white, your tag piece. Next thing I get is I get the deer, which is my ephemera. There's a piece of twine. Going to have the gray burlap paper, and then you're going to have this piece of die cut tag. So it's going to start looking like this. Then you're going to have in there, you're going to have a warm winter wishes. And I'm getting everything out of my envelope. Then I have some gems. And again, these may be something that maybe you don't like the gems. Maybe they're too fancy. I think the deer was kind of fancy, so I kind of like that, and I use the gems instead. But you may want nail heads or nothing like that at all. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit, just a little bit of distress on my deer. I just think it makes these look so much nicer. And just kind of going around the red, just to take a little bit of inking on the edge. We're going to do a little bit on this little gray burlap piece. And before I put that away, I have my warm, I'm just going to lay this here. I have my warm winter wishes that, again, we're going to flag the ends of it. And it lays in here, so you can cut it off a little bit if you want to, but I'm just going to actually flag it. I'm going to flag it the same way I did the other one. Cut it down the center. And there are dies that do this, but when you're just doing a couple of these, it's really simple. There, I've got the warm winter wishes, and I'm just going to run just a little bit of my ink on the edges of that. Okay. So now we're going to put it together. And if you look on your, well, and actually there's another piece here which I didn't do. This is the top the top tag. And if you look at what I've kind of told you to do, what we can do is we're going to build these two pieces together. And again, okay, so my video stopped again. Let's see, I'm where we are. We've got this all inked up. You could run this through a Xyron machine, but I find it's just as easy to use my liquid adhesive. So it's going to go on top of the gray burlap print piece. This is actually a Tailored Expressions stamp. Also, I just used gray paper and some white pigment ink. And my Gina K Connect glue will dry clear. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of foam adhesive under my ephemera piece. And we're going to put it relatively in the middle. Okay. I'm going to use a little bit of Connect glue for the sentiment. And you could choose to use a strip of foam adhesive if you wanted to on that. Okay. Now, I want to adhere this to my card base, but what I want to do is I want it to look nice and even up here, even though I've got these gems. So what I'm doing is, again, leaving this as a folded loop, and it's a much bigger loop. I'm going to take this and I'm going to fold this in half. If you so choose to take your double again, if you want to make it easier, you can take your twine and double it in there. Now, it doesn't make any difference how far down you do this, because the reason why I wanted to do it this way is then we're going to lay this and that's going to be hidden underneath there. And it can go down as far as you want in the back. So it's totally up to you how you want that, you know, how far, and you can cut it off. But I just want to kind of show you a little bit of a trick of where you don't have to be so even up there. You're giving yourself a little more space to adhere your hanger to. And it can be as long or short as you want that hanger to be. But then I've folded that in there so you could just tie that. But I have a longer hanger on this one than I do on the other one. It doesn't make any difference. But now it looks fine on the back side. Now we can take this piece here and we can adhere it to the front of that, and we've kind of covered all that. It's going to look nice and clean when we lay this on top of it. That's hidden in there. It looks, that's perfectly fine on the back side. And then the last thing that we have to do is, these are all on one strip. Your little jewels are on one strip, and they're just going to go across the top of that hanger tag. And then you tie the bow. So that's number 12. So I hope you enjoyed this, and maybe you got a couple of tips and tricks, and I hope you have a great holiday season.